Hey everybody, what's going on? It is Real Training Live time, guys. Welcome to today's episode, Wednesday, 1 o'clock Eastern. Right here, you are in the right place at the right time. So check it out, guys. I want you to go ahead and as you join in with me today, go ahead, please, below and just say a quick hello, comment from where your marketplace is, and be sure to share today's episode, all right? I want to keep encouraging you guys to keep hitting that share button, man, and getting the word out to as many other professional real estate salespeople as you can possibly think of, all right? So that is the name of the game here for today. Give me 1 second, guys. As always, I want to just make sure that that everything is loading properly here, so I can see you guys. Can make sure that I can see all of your questions as they come in. So we were off last week, guys. You probably got the notification that we were off. It was kind of a break week as far as holiday weeks go, so we took the week off. But this week we are back with a great topic. Okay, today, man, personality styles is what we're going to talk about today on Real Training Live. And, that's one of those topics that doesn't really get talked about an awful lot, but it is so critical, I think, to really improving yourself, improving your skills, and ultimately improving your income and your business. So we're going to look at that today. And I just want to remind you, as I do every single week, all right, that when I show up on Wednesdays, or quite frankly, if I'm out speaking to a group, or if I am doing some other kind of training, I've got two purposes, two things that I am always looking to make happen for you guys. And that is, number one, I want to bring information. Man, I want to bring all that I know is going to help you in terms of concepts, scripts, ideas, systems, whatever it might be, guys. I want to bring that to the table, and I want to give it to you so that you can go out and do something with it. And quite frankly, that's the second thing that I'm trying to do each time I get in front of you guys, is just motivate you, encourage you, kind of remind you that you have some big things that you've shared with me that you want to accomplish that I think are important to you. And the reality is, it's not going to happen unless you get busy and get to work. So I want to be able to kind of reach through the camera every single time that I talk to you guys and just say, come on, man, let's get to work. What did you learn today? What are the ideas? What are the things that you're going to go ahead and implement that are going to help you improve your business, all right? So I want you to take notes, and I do want you to ask questions, all right? So down below in the comments, make sure you are asking questions. If you're watching this as a rebroadcast at a future date, that's okay. Hit me up with the questions. Let me know where you're checking in from. Let me know what I can do to help. And as always, remember to like and comment. Give me the wow face. Give me the, the thumbs up, man. And let's share this thing, all right? So guess what? What do we got? A couple minutes after 1 o'clock Eastern, it's time to get busy. We are going to look at, as I mentioned, personality styles. All right, that's the focus of today. And the reality is that understanding personality styles, okay? So I want you to think about what I'm going to say. Understanding personality styles will have a direct impact on your income. Okay, a direct impact, meaning the stronger your understanding, the more you know about how to recognize different personality styles, and the more you know about how to adapt yourself to those different personality styles, the more your income's going to go up, guys. The more deals you're going to be able to do, the more connectivity that you are going to have with people, all right? So I've got a number of things that I want to talk about today. And again, my encouragement for you is to listen for the one or the two things that you can take away. Because guys, what good does it do? What good does it do, man, to show up, to watch an event, or to read a book, or listen to a podcast, if you aren't going to find something, just something that you can take away and put into your business, all right? So I wrote down a few thoughts that I want to make sure that we spend a few minutes talking about today as we go forward, all right? So again, the first thing I wrote down is that our job, of course, as salespeople is to get out there and find people, right? Our core job as real estate salespeople is to identify who in our marketplace needs to sell or buy property. All right, you guys should know that by now. I've said that so many times. I'm going to continue to say it and continue to remind you. But that's your job. You need to go out and find the people that are going to buy or sell property. But see, after you begin communicating with them, we have to increase connectivity. All right, we have to increase the skill of communication. And quite frankly, communication, very simple, guys. Communication is the transfer of energy between people. All right? So even in a situation like this where we are watching, or you are watching, a class, a webinar, an informational video, you are receiving energy from watching this, okay? The words that I'm saying, the body language, the tonality, all of these things that make up communication are transferring energy. And again, my hope is that that transfer of energy is going to cause you to want to take action. But that's all communication is. All right. In fact, I think a lot of you have probably heard all the various studies, the breakdowns of what the components of communication are and just, what is most important. And it always fascinated me to realize how little communication was made up in the words. Okay. In other words, to realize how, I don't want to say insignificant, okay, because words are not insignificant. But the reality is what I communicate to you, only 7% of what you receive is going to be based on the words I use, okay? The rest of it is coming from tonality. It's coming from emphasizing certain things. It's coming from upswings, downswings, body language, all this other stuff. So what you have to understand is that people of different personality styles receive and process that information differently, okay? They communicate differently. They think differently, they speak differently, and they interpret what you're doing differently. And the more you realize that, man, the more doors open up to you in terms of opportunity and possibility to increase connectivity. All right? Because again, that's what it's all about. It's about how do we communicate and ultimately help a person take action and use you during the process. Okay? So I had written down, and this is nothing new. This isn't going to be a surprise to you, but the truth is, people ultimately look for, gravitate toward, and like people who seem to be most like them. Okay? There's the old saying, opposites attract. All right? And that may be true. There's that initial, interest, curiosity, whatever it might be about somebody that's a little bit different or opposite. Because you're curious. It's like, wow, I've never thought that way before. I've never heard that before. But that only lasts so long. If we're talking about true connectivity and communication and ultimately developing a working relationship with somebody where they're gonna entrust you to list their home, they're gonna buy a house from you. I mean, they're gonna get involved in one of the most important transactions of their life. It's not going to be based on the fact that you're completely different from them, okay? Trust me on that. You need to develop and adapt to their personality so that they feel comfortable, all right? So people like and will work with and interact with at a deeper level people who seem to be just like them. But see, guys, the reality is there are 4 major personality profiles. All right, I'm sure many of you have done some studying on this. You've probably heard this before, but the truth is you need to think about what we're going to say today. All right, you need to do something with it. So the 4 personalities, if you want to talk about the DISC profile, okay, so the DISC profile, that's very common. It's been around for a long time. Most people are very familiar with that. So you have the D, the I, the S, and the C, okay? I've always liked 4 different names for those 4 personality styles: the driver, the expressive, the amiable, and the analytical. That's what the D, I, S, and C correlate to, all right? So you have driver personality, you have an expressive personality, you have an amiable personality, and you have an analytical personality profile. All right? So everybody is going to fall into one of those categories. In fact, most people actually have at least 2 of the 4 that they're more dominant in, and then typically 2 of the other 2 are they're not so dominant in, all right? So we're all made up with different stuff, right? When it comes to our personalities and our emotions and our way of thinking. So number 1 is you have to recognize not everybody's like you, okay? Thank goodness, right? I know I feel that way. Thank goodness everybody's not just like me. There are a lot of people very much like me, and there are a lot of people like you, but most people are not going to be. The vast majority of the people you interact with are going to be different from you. So what does that mean? If they are naturally going to do business with, if they're naturally going to be interested in and talk with and open up to people who are like them, your job then becomes to appear to be more like them. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. If it makes sense, comment below, man. Say, yeah, I'm with you. I'm tracking. I got it. So then the question becomes, well, how do I do that? Right? How do you become more like somebody else? Okay? And that's what we need to look at today, because there are things you can say, there are things you can do and there are questions you can ask that are going to help them feel like you can relate. Okay, you ever heard that phrase before, man? It's like, I just can't relate to them. Or, man, you're just not relating to me. It's not a good fit. I don't feel comfortable. I mean, you hear this stuff once in a while when it comes down to talking about how two people interact together. Well, I'm telling you right now, man, if that is what's happening in your business, it's going to cost you. All right, it's going to cost you a lot. In fact, my mentor for years has said that it is his belief that the average agent, now think about this, man, the average agent loses approximately 20 deals a year, okay? 20 deals a year because of an ability to relate, okay? Because of a lack of versatility. And that's really a word we're going to spend a lot of time talking about, okay? Versatility. So if that's true, I mean, think about what your average commission is, all right? What is your average commission so far in your business? Is it 5,000? Is it 10,000? Is it 15,000? Somewhere in between. But now multiply that by 20. Okay, let's say your average commission is $8,000 times 20. That's $160,000 in potential loss of income. Now, I don't know about you, but there's not a lot of people out there that are going to just say, 160 grand, no big deal, man. You know, I can deal with that. I don't think there's very many of us that are going to say that, okay? So knowing that there's probably six figures on the line in terms of your ability to improve, to change, to adapt, to become more versatile, is it worth it, yes or no? What do you guys think? Okay? What do you think? I would say, yeah, man. Whatever I can do to try to learn more about this. Okay, so this topic today has major relevance when it comes to your business. All right, so what have we talked about so far? We've talked about the fact that people like to deal with people that they feel are like them. We've talked about the fact that communication and the connectivity and the exchange of thoughts and ideas is going to be received differently depending on your personality. And the four personalities, again, if we're going to use these terms, there may be other terms you want to use, but you got to believe, you got to understand that driver, expressive, amiable, analytical, whatever words you attach to them, the characteristics are the same. All right, so it's understanding, man, why is that person like that? You know, why do they always seem to be so stoic? Or why do they never seem to be able to be on time? Why are they always distracted? Why do they take so long to make a decision? I don't get it. Like, why do they think so much? You know, because if you're not like that, you can't relate. We just talked about that. So recognizing, wait a minute, the reason that they behave that way, the reason they speak that way, the reason they think that way is because that's their personality. Okay? So our job isn't to go around changing everybody else's personality. Our job, as it relates to being a salesperson, is to adapt. Right? To be the chameleon, the personality chameleon, and recognize, all right, man, I know what this person is, man. This person is classic expressive. So knowing that, now that affects the way I speak to them, the way I follow up with them, ultimately the way I present to them. Okay? Have you ever been on a presentation, guys, where you just didn't feel like there was any of that connectivity, and it's like you just never quite got on the same page? I mean, you got a great presentation and, you know, you did all the right stuff. You were prepared. You felt like you answered their questions, but there just wasn't that meshing and you didn't get the listing. Now, think about if you could have adapted, if you could have changed things, if you could have taken a different approach and gotten that listing, could have been $3, $4, $6, $8, $10, $12,000 commission check coming your way. Again, lots of money on the line. So now that we understand what those things are, we know what the personalities look like. Let's again talk about a few characteristics of each of those, all right? So I am going to, I'm just going to give you kind of a summary. Just keywords, maybe 3 or 4 keywords that would help you define and identify personality styles just a little bit quicker, okay? So if we're going to start with D, okay, the dominant, the driver, basically they are very task-oriented and results-oriented, okay? They tend to be non-emotional. Okay, they don't get all worked up. They don't show a lot of emotion. They're very direct. They're very to the point, and they're very short in their conversations and their thinking. Okay, they basically their goal is to be efficient. Okay, that's the primary goal of a driver, is to get stuff done, man. Be efficient, get it done, knock it out, move on. Now, let's understand something, guys. There's pros and cons to every one of these. Okay, there are benefits and hindrances, if you will. If you're a driver, if you're an analytical, if you're expressive, there's good things about that personality and not so good things. All right? But again, our job isn't to change or we can't necessarily do things to affect that other person's personality, but we can adapt. All right? So hopefully you get a little bit of a picture of the driver. Driver is all about results. It's their task-oriented, get stuff done. Let's get to the point. Let's not waste time. Let's be efficient. Okay? The next one, the expressive, very influential. They're very persuasive, or they attempt to be very persuasive. They love to be the center of attention. They love to be the life of the party. They're always bubbly and enthusiastic, and they got all this stuff going on in their personality. Okay? That's the expressive. All right? The main thing they are doing is, again, centered around enthusiasm. It's a zeal for life. It's like everything is over the top and exciting and new. The drawback is sometimes they can't stay focused on one thing long enough to actually get anything done. Okay? And they're very, they tend to be late. They tend to, again, jump from thing to thing without completing it. So, again, drawbacks and positives to all sides. All right? Let's look at the next one. The amiable, okay? They are into harmony. They are into, again, carrying out the task, but working together. So harmony is important. Sincerity is important. Feelings. They are a very emotional personality style, like the expressive. Okay? The expressive is very people-oriented, very emotional or expressive, and guess what? So is the amiable. Okay? So you got to understand that a lot of times their worldview is shaped by feelings. It's based on wanting to be pleasing to other people. They want to keep harmony. They want to make other people happy, which is a great thing. Man, the world would be not a very good place if it weren't for the amiables, because they really go out of their way to care about and do things for other people. The challenge is sometimes that the emotions get the best of them. Okay? And there are lots of instances where you might be interacting with somebody and you just think to yourself, man, I don't understand why they're so upset about that, or why they took that so hard, or whatever the case might be. Chances are it's because that's their amiable personality. Okay? So again, just like the others, pluses and minuses, and then guess what? The last one is the analytical. Analytical also very task-oriented. Okay? Not communicating, not overly communicative. They're not people-oriented. They're task-oriented. Okay? Again, they want to get stuff done, but unlike the driver, they are afraid of being wrong. That's what drives the analyticals. They need to be right. They need to be correct. They don't want to make a mistake. Their biggest fear is to make a mistake. Okay? Driver doesn't care about making mistakes. They'll figure we'll fix it later. Okay? We'll just get it done. If it isn't right, we'll fix it. Analyticals, again, very methodical, think things through, very diligent. You can count on them. They're very reliable, but they take forever sometimes to make decisions. All right, so there you are working with this person, excuse me, and they keep saying, yeah, we're going to do something, yeah, we want to. And it just seems to take them forever to finally come to a decision, probably because they've got a lot of analytical in them. Okay? Now, I will say, and again, you guys have probably experienced this, very rarely do you ever see a person that is dominant in one of the four and almost lacking in the other three. Very rarely do you ever have a person who's like a pure expressive or a pure driver, and they don't have really anything else. Most people, as I said earlier, they have two of the four that they tend to be more dominant in, one sometimes a little more than the other, and then the other two they tend to be a little lower in. And then every once in a while, you get somebody that's pretty equal across the board. Like they don't really have a dominant one. They're all pretty even. So again, some of this stuff isn't necessarily relevant to what you're going to do with a client, but man, I'm telling you, the key that you need to think about is how quickly can you start to recognize the traits, the behavior, the thinking, and the wording of somebody else and begin to realize what that means about their personality. Okay? So what I did was I wrote down some power phrases, if I can use that expression, all right? Because the thing we have to figure out is, again, if I'm not analytical, how do I relate to an analytical? Okay, if I don't think that way, how am I gonna adapt? If that's like, if I'm a driver, and I'll tell you right now, one of the drawbacks with the drivers, they have no patience. Okay, they have a lack of patience, especially for somebody like an analytical who takes forever to make a decision. So if you're a driver, one of the things I would tell you that you need to work on to allow yourself to be more versatile is to work on developing a patience, an appreciation for the fact that somebody else is going to take longer to make a decision. All right? So little phrases, again, the wording, creating the idea that, hey, I'm just like you. Okay? I understand you. I am, you can feel comfortable and relatable to me because I understand you. And that's what we're trying to do as a salesperson, is convey the idea of familiarity. When people are familiar, when people are more comfortable, when people feel like you're just like them, you got a much better shot at getting the business. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, guys. Again, don't forget below, comment, like, share, tag people, do what you need to do to make this an interactive event. Okay, so let me give you some of these power phrases that I wrote down, because I think for you, to be able to start communicating verbally with people in a different way is the first step in versatility. Okay, recognizing, of course, is number one, but really the first step in making those changes is in the wording that you use. Okay, so here are a few things when you know you're dealing with a high D, a high driver. Things like saying the point is. Okay, because you know what? They want to get to the point. They want to know what the point is. Okay, let's say you've got a driver client whose property is overpriced, and you need to talk to them about a reduction. One thing you don't want to do is show up with 15 pages of data to try to go over with them to show them why the property is overpriced. They will hate you. They don't care about 15 pages worth of data. Just give me the bottom line. What's the deal? Hey, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, look, the reason for my call today is we need to talk about your property. The point is the market's not responding and we need to adjust. Okay, that's an example of how you might communicate to a driver. Bang, just hit them with it, get to the point, tell them why you're calling. Here's another one. I can make this happen for you. Okay, that is a power phrase, because drivers love that. They want to know that you're going to be able to get stuff done, because that's their goal, is to get stuff done, to be efficient, to get results. So if you can continually convey to them that you have the ability to get results, that's going to resonate, man. That's going to attract their ears are going to perk up when you say things like that. Okay? So bottom line is, the point is, quickly, I just want to share with you. Or, look, Mr. Mrs. Driver, I can make this happen for you. Okay? A statement of confidence, a statement of results. That's key with the driver. Okay? So when it comes to selling, okay, these are just phrases, communication to get their attention. When it comes to selling them, again, get to the point and give them options. Okay? So again, if you're taking notes, if you're thinking about right now, if you're thinking about clients that you have dealt with or are currently dealing with who are drivers, high D, these are things you need to be aware of. Give them options, let them choose. They like to be in, or at least feel like they're in control. Okay? Drivers love to be in control because their belief is they're the only one that's going to get the job done, man. It's like, give me the wheel, I'll get us there. That's the driver's mentality. So if you've got something you need to bring to them, give them some options. Let them choose. Hey, Mr. Seller, look, as I mentioned, the market's not responding. Okay? We've got to make a change. There's 3 choices I wrote down that I think we need to choose from. Number 1 is we extend the listing back to its original length. Give it more time to catch up. Number 2, reduce the price by 10% tonight. Number 3, increase the commission and offer it all to the selling side as an incentive to try to get their buyers in here. So what do you think? Which of those 3 do you want to go with? Okay, not a lot of explanation, not a lot of emotion. Okay, they don't care that you don't like, you don't need to go on and on. Oh, I'm so sorry to have to break this news to you, and man, I wish I could tell you something. They don't care. They're not emotional. That's not going to resonate with them. Okay, and amiable needs to hear that stuff. They need to know that you're sincere. They need to know that you're with them. Okay, so let's get back to the driver. Okay, be prepared to move quickly. All right, when you're in a selling situation, be prepared, get organized, know what you want to say, get to the point, get in, get out quickly. and ask for what you want. Okay? Get to the bottom line with a driver. Don't delay, don't belabor, don't go on and on. Okay? So that's a D, that's a driver. Second one is the expressive. Let's talk about some power phrases with expressives that are going to get their attention, that are going to make them feel like, wow, okay, this person's like me. They can understand me. They relate to me. Here's one. I'm excited for you guys. Okay? Expressives love excitement. They live for excitement. They live for emotion and experiences, and they get all worked up about everything. And then, 2 minutes later, they're worked up about this over here, and then they're excited about this over there, and they're constantly changing. They're on to the next. They don't stick with something very long. But man, when they're in that moment, they are off the charts with excitement, and they want to share it with you. And they want to see that you're excited. That feeds that personality, is to see that you're excited too. And wow, oh my gosh. So conveying that in words. Man, I'm so excited for you guys. This is going to be so great. Here's the other thing. Complimenting. All right? Complimenting them because on whatever it is, whatever they've done to the property. Holy cow, I can't believe you thought to do that with this room. This is amazing. Everybody's going to love this. I don't know which angle to shoot this from. This is so great. I mean, we're going to have at least 4 or 5 pictures of this room. How did you come up with this? Oh man, they love to be the center, and you got to be careful though, because you get them talking and it's so hard to reel them back in. Okay? So power phrases are, I'm excited for you guys. This is going to be great. Can you imagine? Because, man, they're always imagining. They're always out there, thinking about the next big whatever. Okay, so that's the expressive. Now let's look at some selling points. When you have to sell, when you have to get an agreement to list the property, give you an appointment, give you a reduction, sign the purchase offer, whatever it might be. Okay, is you have to be able to let your energy and your enthusiasm out. So this, if you're an expressive, isn't a big deal, okay? But if you're an analytical, who by nature tends to be very low-key, very, sort of just middle of the road, man, not too excitable, not too, doesn't get worked up about a lot of stuff. I mean, that, in a lot of situations, that's great. But when you're dealing with an expressive, they're going to think you're boring as hell, okay? And they're not going to be moved to take action. If you can't show a little bit of excitement and enthusiasm. For you, as an analytical, you may have to work on that. And you think to yourself, well, I don't know, man, how do I do that? Well, you've got to, in your mind, create the relatability. All right, so again, you may have to practice this. You may have to work on this, all right, as a communication skill when you're dealing especially with expressives. The other part of that is, again, be positive. Focus on the positives. Okay? So, yes, there may be some negatives to whatever the situation is, but focus on the positive. Be optimistic, be positive, be excited about whatever it is. Okay? The next thing I wrote down is, again, let them talk. All right? They love to talk. They love to express themselves. They love to comment. It's a challenge because you got to try to balance it. Otherwise, you might be there for 3 hours. So you do have to try to rein them in a little bit. But, you got to give them that space. You got to give them that opportunity to express themselves, because otherwise it's like you're squelching them. You're a downer, man. I can't relate to you. I don't think you really have the excitement about getting this property sold that I'm looking for. So you may not get the listing, okay? So expressives, again, in a lot of ways, they are opposite of the driver, okay? But it's just the key is recognizing. Number 3, amiables. Okay, the amiables, or the steady sort of personality style. Power phrases. I understand. I feel. Okay, because for them it's very feeling based, not necessarily thinking based, feeling based. Now that doesn't mean if you're an amiable that you don't know how to think. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm saying is they tend to be driven more by the feeling they have, the emotion that they're having about whatever it is. So for them, you know what? Selling their home that they've been in for 30 years is going to be a lot more difficult than it will be for the driver. Okay? The driver decides it's time, we've outgrown it, we need to move on. And they move forward and they take action, right? They get the house on the market. Yeah, they may look around a little bit and say, wow, this is a great house, but hey, we're on to the next thing. The amiable's going to stand in every room and cry, perhaps. Or they're just going to be very moved by the fact that this is a big deal emotionally to them. Okay? They're going to be thinking about all the kids they've raised and all the things that have happened in every room. And you know what? They're going to want to know that the buyer for their home has the sensitivity to recognize all the things they've done. Okay, so the amiables like to be acknowledged. Okay, they will do a lot. They will go out of their way to do a lot, but it's important for them to see from the other side reciprocity. Okay, meaning reciprocation and acknowledgement of, and maybe in a sense a complimenting of all the work and effort that they may have gone into to do about a particular project. All right, so you know the other place where this makes a big deal or becomes a big deal is for those of you guys that are hiring people. Okay, if you're hiring staff, you have to understand the personality of the person that you're thinking of hiring and how you're going to need to relate to them. Okay, so if you've got an amiable assistant, you're going to have to relate to them a lot differently than you might if you have an expressive assistant or a driver or anyone else. Okay, so again, amiables, asking questions, because that shows you care, that shows your sincerity. All right, that you want to know how they feel. What do you think, or how do you feel about this? All right, so as far as selling points with the amiable. Okay, so those are some power phrases when it comes to a selling situation. Again, you have to express the fact that what you want to do is in their best interest. That what you want to do is do what they always do and think about others, okay? And basically convey that to them. But you also need to focus on, again, the feeling, the emotional side, to get them to think about, well, hey, how do you feel we should market this property? What are the things that you want me to emphasize that are going to cause the potential buyers to feel good about your home? Okay, that's an example of a selling type of a question that you need to ask, all right? So let's get to the last one, which is the analytical. Very thinking, very cerebral, okay, very process, linear, very hard to break out of habits, very hard to break out of their sequence of how they want to see their life, lived out, walked out. They have a process and a procedure for everything. So some power phrases would be to say to them, hey, I think, or what do you think this is telling us? Okay, so getting into that verbiage of thinking and processing and taking things one step at a time. Let's see what the data says. Okay, that's another power phrase. Is, hey, let's take a look at what the data is telling us. All right, let's make a little chart together. Oh my gosh, you will have these analyticals so excited. Of course, you wouldn't be able to tell because their facial expression doesn't change, but inside, their heart starts to beat because you're talking about creating a chart or a checklist. They love charts and checklists. And that's how, those are some of the tools they use to help them process the data and make a decision. Okay, because remember, biggest fear is being wrong. So they don't want to make a wrong choice. That's part of the reason they hesitate in making a decision at all, because they don't want to choose the wrong option. All right, so you got to understand that. You got to be patient with that. So when you're in a selling situation, which is all about getting them to choose, making a decision, signing the contract, hiring you, reducing the price, whatever, you got to have a lot of data, okay? And you need to be organized, and you need to, again, use those phrases like, hey, let's take this one step at a time. What I'd like to do is walk through this with you. You got to slow down, okay? You got to present slowly and let them absorb what you're sharing with them, asking them, hey, does that make sense? Do you get that? And again, be prepared with a lot of information because they're going to ask a lot of questions. So again, here's the deal. There are a lot of people out there who are going to fall into each one of these categories of the three that you're not. So right now, as you're watching this, you might be expressive. All right. And you have to realize that a big percentage of the people that you're going to interact with are going to be either drivers, analyticals, or amiables. So they don't think the way you think. They don't behave, maybe in some cases, the way you behave. They don't look and communicate the same way. But that doesn't matter. That can't matter when it comes to these situations. Okay? So Number one, recognize, what is this person? What is their primary personality profile? Number two, what does that mean? Now that I know and I recognize what that person is, how do I need to shift my thinking? Because the versatility, which I told you, I kind of used that word a while ago, it's simply the ability to adapt to a variety of different people in a variety of different ways. And you need to understand, what are the steps I need to take? So if I'm an expressive and I've got a driver client, I need to control myself. I need to focus. I need to speak in short sentences. I need to give them options. I can't allow myself to get off track and off schedule and talking about this and commenting on that and asking about this. That's going to drive them nuts. So I've got to control myself. All right? I got to be on time. For you expressives, the first thing you got to realize when you're not dealing with an expressive is you got to be on time. Okay? So the drivers are going to be annoyed by the fact that you're late. The amiables are going to think you don't care. And the analyticals are going to think, what's wrong with them? Why can't they be more organized? They're going to look down on you, right? Because to an analytical, being late is being wrong. All right? Now, the other way around, if you're an analytical and you're presenting to, let's say, an amiable, okay? They're not gonna process the facts as much as they are the feelings and what's behind the facts. So you got to be patient. You got to be able to relate to that. So, guys, here's the deal. All right? As we boil all this down to the big question, which is, what are you going to do with the information that we're talking about today? Okay? What are you going to do with this? Well, the first thing is you need to make a plan for how you are going to study and be more quick at recognizing personality styles. Okay? So assignment number one is, I want you to make a point everywhere you go for the next week to be identifying, purposely looking for clues in the people around you and trying to peg what personality they are. You need to start training your mind and your senses to be able to read people based on their verbiage, based on their dress. In some cases, the way they dress will dictate a little bit about their personality. And I want you to start being more aware. Okay, I want you to challenge yourself to see if in the course of living out your life, in the course of a day, if you can start identifying more quickly what personality style people are, okay? Number two, second assignment is you need to dramatically work to upgrade your versatility. So how do you do that? What are some things you can do right now to upgrade and improve your versatility? Well, number one is you can get your ego out of the way. Okay? And remember, it's not about you. It's about other people. It's about relating to and prioritizing and valuing those things they value. That's not easy. Believe me, that is not easy. But it is part of creating versatility, the relatability. Okay? The second thing you can do is to purposely put yourself in more situations that cause you to have to interact with different types of people. Because what our tendency is we tend to cling to and hang around and surround ourselves with people who are just like us. So if you're an analytical, you join a book club, okay? And I'm not saying that only analyticals read books. But, maybe it's the book club that meets at the library and has a set procedure that you go through at the start of every meeting, and everybody takes notes, and, there's maybe a very analytical flair to it, okay? If you're an expressive, you're out 6, 7 nights a week, out socializing and networking, and, you're around all these people who love life like you do. But how often do you actually put yourself in a situation where you have to interact with drivers? Okay? And same thing for the rest of you guys. Put yourselves in situations that are going to cause you to be a little uncomfortable. They're going to force you to interact with people who are not like you, where you can start utilizing the awareness and the skills to communicate differently. Okay? To force yourself to change your behavior a little bit so that people start to feel like, wow, this person relates to me. They understand me. I want to spend more time with them. I want to do business with them. That right there, those two assignments, awareness and putting yourself in situations that you are not normally in, will over time upgrade your sociability index, your your personality and versatility. Okay? So, if you want to put more deals together this year, if you want to have fewer people not choose to do business with you because they can't relate to you, then this class today has massive value. And let's not forget, man, we went through it before. If your average commission is $4,000 or $5,000, which for a lot of you, it's like double that. But if your average commission is only $4,000 to $5,000, and you could do even 10 more deals this year that you wouldn't have gotten because you're going to relate to people better and you're going to draw them in, it's 50 grand, $50,000 potentially that today's episode represents in potential income for you. So the question is, what are you going to do with it? Okay, every week we come to this question where I say to you, hey, there it is, man. There's the information I told you, I promised you that I was going to bring. The burden's on you to go do something with it. So I want you to ask questions. Again, down below, obviously in the comments, I need you to let me know what I can do to help. Okay, appreciate the comments, Chad. Very helpful. So share it, man. Okay, hit the share button and push this out to a bunch of other agents. And like I said, decide the one thing or two things that you're going to do right now, today, to do something with this information, all right? So in the meantime, we've got Real Trading Live coming up again next Wednesday, as we do every week, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, right here. I want to be a resource for you, all right? So let me know what I can do to help. Have a great rest of your day. And again, share the information. We'll talk to you again real soon, guys. Bye-bye for now.